I'm 85 years old, and I woke up this morning with the same quiet thought that's been visiting me more often lately. There isn't much time left, and there never really was as much as I thought. I'm not saying that to be dramatic. It's just a fact now. My hands shake when I button my shirt. My knees complain before I even stand up. The calendar on the wall feels more like a reminder than a plan. Most of the people who knew me when I was young are gone. Some died. Some drifted. Some I pushed away without meaning to. I'm telling this now because there's nothing left to protect. No reputation to polish. No future version of myself to impress. Just the truth, finally clear, and a little heavy to carry alone. For most of my life, I believed time belonged to me. Not in an arrogant way. Just in the quiet, everyday way people do. I assumed there would always be more of it. More days. More chances. More conversations I could have later. I lived like time was something stored somewhere, waiting patiently for me to come back to it. I didn't think I was wasting it. I thought I was using it responsibly. I worked. I showed up. I paid bills. I did what was expected. I told myself I'd rest later, love more later, listen better later. I believed later was a place I would eventually reach. At 85, I finally understand that time was never mine to waste. It was only ever passing through me. These days, my mornings are slow. I sit at the kitchen table with my coffee until it goes cold. Not because I forget about it, but because I'm thinking. I look at the empty chair across from me and remember when it was never empty. When there were voices, arguments, laughter, impatience. When silence was something I wished for instead of something that follows me room to room. I didn't know then how loud silence could become. When I was young, in my 20s and 30s, life felt urgent in a different way. There was always something to build, something to fix, something to chase. I had plans stacked on top of plans. I told myself I was laying foundations. I thought sacrifice was temporary. I had a job that demanded long hours. Not glamorous, but steady. I was proud of that. I wore exhaustion like proof that I was doing the right thing. I came home late and told myself my absence meant something, that it would all be worth it someday. My wife used to ask me to sit with her in the evenings. Just sit. No television. No paperwork. Just the two of us at the table after dinner. I told her I was tired. I told her tomorrow. She stopped asking eventually. At the time, that felt like relief. I didn't understand what it really meant. Our children grew up quietly. Not neglected, but not truly seen either. I was there in body, often enough. But my mind was always leaning forward, already in the next hour, the next task. I went to work events instead of school events. I missed small things because they didn't seem important compared to keeping everything running. I told myself I was doing it for them. That sentence still stings. There wasn't one big mistake. That's the part people don't warn you about. Life doesn't usually fall apart in a single moment. It erodes. Softly. Politely. While you're busy elsewhere. I missed a birthday dinner once because of a late meeting. Just one. I promised I'd make it up. I didn't. I forgot an anniversary. I apologized. We moved on. I postponed a hard conversation because it felt uncomfortable. I told myself it could wait. Those choices felt harmless. Even reasonable. Each one was small enough to justify. But they added up. By my 40s, my marriage felt thinner. Not broken. Just stretched. Conversations stayed on the surface. We talked about schedules and groceries and money. We stopped talking about fears. About dreams. About us. I noticed it, but I didn't stop it. I told myself that was just how long marriages were. Quiet. Functional. I didn't ask what it was costing us. Time kept moving. Promotions came and went. The children left home. I remember standing in their empty rooms, surprised by how quickly it happened. I told myself I'd get to know them better as adults. I thought I had time. The real turning point didn't arrive with noise. It arrived with a phone call on an ordinary afternoon. My wife collapsed at home. No warning. No long illness. Just gone. I remember standing in the hospital hallway, holding my coat, unable to sit down. Everything felt unreal. The floor was too shiny. The lights were too bright. People spoke to me kindly, but their words floated past. I kept thinking about all the evenings I said tomorrow. Tomorrow never came for us. After she died, the house felt unfamiliar, like it belonged to someone else. I found notes she'd written, lists, reminders, a grocery list taped to the fridge with my name underlined next to something simple. I sat on the floor and cried like a man who had finally run out of excuses. Grief does something strange to time. Days blur, but memories sharpen. I started remembering moments I hadn't thought about in decades. Her waiting by the window. Her voice calling me for dinner. The way she sighed when I said I was busy. I used to think love was something big and dramatic. I know now it lives in the ordinary moments we step over because we're in a hurry. After the funeral, people told me I was strong. I nodded. I didn't feel strong. I felt late. There were things I could never say to her now. Apologies without ears to receive them. Gratitude with nowhere to land. That's when the weight of time finally settled in my chest. It didn't come as panic. It came as clarity. I saw my life not as a series of achievements, but as a series of moments I had rushed through. Conversations I shortened. Hands I didn't hold long enough. Days I treated as disposable. Time hadn't betrayed me. I had misunderstood it. Now, at 85, my days are quiet. Sometimes painfully so. The phone doesn't ring much. Friends my age are tired, sick, or gone. My children call, but they have their own lives. I hear the busyness in their voices. I recognize it. I don't blame them. I sit with memories more than people now. Some are warm. Many are heavy. There are things I cannot fix. That's the hardest part to accept. You can apologize, but you can't return stolen time. You can understand, but you can't rewind. I will never sit across from my wife again at that kitchen table. I will never hear my children's younger voices filling the house. I will never become the man I kept promising I'd be someday. That version of me expired quietly while I was busy. If you're listening to this, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm not trying to teach a lesson like I have it all figured out. I don't. I'm just finally honest. I used to think wasting time meant laziness. Now I know it can look like productivity, like responsibility, like doing the right thing for everyone except the people who needed you present. Time isn't loud when it leaves. It doesn't announce itself. It slips away while you're planning what you'll do with it later. If I could speak to my younger self, I wouldn't tell him to quit his job or chase some perfect life. I'd just tell him to sit down more often, to listen without checking the clock, to say the hard thing while there was still air between two living people. I'd tell him that later is a dangerous word. I know you have obligations. I know life is complicated. Mine was too. I'm not asking you to change everything. Just notice where you're postponing what matters because it feels inconvenient. One day, inconvenience will feel like a gift. These days, I walk slower. I eat slower. I listen more carefully. Not because I become wise, but because time has finally taught me how little of it I have left. I don't regret my whole life. There were good years, real joy. But I regret assuming I could always make it up later. I can't now. What I have left is honesty. And a small hope that someone younger might hear this and pause. Just pause. If this meant something to you, hold on to it quietly. You don't need to do anything grand. Just don't rush past the moments you'll wish you could sit inside again. As for me, I'll finish my coffee, even if it's cold. I'll sit with the silence. And I'll keep telling the truth, because that's all time has left me to give.